Today is the 5th Sunday of Lent, and as Christians continue their time of reflection and preparation for Easter, we've a powerful hymn by Isaac Watts. Now recognised as the father of English hymnody, during his lifetime he was controversial. Watts was the first to write hymn words based on personal feelings and testimony. So when he used the word I in the opening line of his most famous hymn, When I Survey the Wondrous Cross, he was actually revolutionising the way people express their faith in music. His masterpiece is sung here by the combined Welsh male voice choirs of Dunvant, Treorchy and Penderys. We're rolling back the years now to the 1960s. Peterhead looked much the same as always, but as Radzi Chinyanganya has been finding out, the wind of change was blowing.
1966, at the height of the swinging 60s, and London was the capital of cool. Rock and roll had revolutionised the music industry. But despite this wave of popularity sweeping the country, the church was resistant to change.
I think there's something rather discreditable in our attempt to get alongside the modern generation. No musical instrument or no combination of musical sounds or musical responses is going to meet the real need.
But there was a group of young priests inspired by the new popular culture that believed traditional worship was driving young people away. So they came up with a plan, a book of contemporary hymns and music. And 50 years ago, this groundbreaking hymn book, Youth Praise, was launched. And with that, a new worship movement was born. Michael Bourne was one of the original founders of the Youth Praise movement.
It was absolutely radical that we were trying to do something in which young people could sing and enjoy themselves and find worship. It wasn't welcome. It wasn't welcome by organists, and by many vicars that took it a long time. But fortunately, there was a great movement among the younger clergy of the day.
And it didn't stop with youth praise. A whole series of other new hymn books were inspired by that original.
Here we are, okay. Just have a listen. I'll just sing through the verses and you have a listen. Come and worship Christ the King, come and bow before.
Joel Payne is keeping things right up to date, writing new hymns for today's congregations.
Everlasting God, should we try that together? Come and worship Christ the King, come and bow before.
What's the connection between what we do now compared to the original praise movement?
So much of what we think is normal in church these days, you see guitars, you see contemporary bands. Before youth praise, particularly in the mainstream Anglican church, nobody had a guitar, nobody dared. That small group of clergymen back then who recognised they needed to draw in elements of the culture to make sense of what they believed. And then that went on really to be the bedrock on which many of the contemporary hymn and songwriters that we know well today have actually built. Culture keeps moving and times change. What we believe in doesn't change.
People were released at last to sing in a way which they wanted to sing and felt they could be Christians into the present day in spite of the church, in spite of it still sticking in the mud. So great hymns that have lasted, and so an awful lot resulted from it, far beyond our expectations.
Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. Melt me, mold me, fill me, use me, Spirit of the